Good evening again, folks. We want to say a pleasant good evening and a welcome to my Lutheran Connections. Um, Today, again, we have with us in studio our ambassador there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, uh, and also joining us is our executive director, I would say, from all the way Liberia, Monrovia. He's back with us again, uh, Brother Abel Lewelly. He's actually the brain behind the entire setup we have here. And I'm here in Atlanta. Today, we are not going to waste much time because we have a very, very interesting program. As you can see to the top right of my screen, we have of us the Reverend Thomas Z. Paye, and I'm going to just highlight him real quick. We have the Reverend Thomas Z. Paye, and before we go to our studio there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, our brother Jerry Tableau, he's going to be our lead host. He's going to present to you a little bit about our guest. Our guest, the Reverend Thomas EP, is a senior pastor of the Lutheran Church in Nigeria, a dedicated servant of God. He is a teacher, and he is assigned currently at the Bannersville Lutheran Church. Uh, he he obtained a master's from the Wartburg Theological Seminary, that's in Iowa, USA. Um, that's in arts of theology in development and evangelism, and he also is a graduate of the ecumenical studies the World Council of Churches. That's in German, Geneva, Switzerland. He's also a product of the Great Banga School of Theology, um, and like we said, currently he is the pastor in charge at the Bannersville Lutheran Church. In addition to the Bannersville Lutheran Church, or before going there, he served in other parishes. That is the St. John's Parish. He also served with the St. Peter's Lutheran Church, and he is also remembered as a pastor who served the Kakata parish there in St. Paul's parish there in Kakata, and a whole lot of a lot of contribution he has made to the Lutheran Church in Liberia, including serving as the chairperson of the Board of Theology and Adjudication, the BMTEA. Without further waste of time, we want to say, Reverend Thomas Z. P., we want to welcome you to our program, and we will be going quickly to Civilian there in Freetown. But before going to Freetown, we want to welcome our dear friend and brother, Josiah Jokai. We missed you last week.
The prodigal son, the
Ah,
ambassador
no,
is
no, no, no,
watching.
no.
And I see Batem is back
Yeah,
on. So
yeah.
I'm
The
the
two
guy who has
buses,
been behind, man. I've been lacking
right?
behind. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Reverend P.
birthday buses
I'm
are
really
here.
Yeah,
excited to see you here, Reverend. Yeah.
Yeah,
So happy to see
yes.
you here.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for keeping up the spirit. I mean, the
Yep,
torch is burning, and to
yep,
have Reverend Pay on, it means a lot.
yeah.
So I'm so happy to be here. When I talk to you, Willie, I had to increase my speed, and I say anything happens to me, Willie is going to be
No,
responsible.
no, no. No,
Yeah.
we can't keep the senior pastor
I
waiting.
was like, to tell you the truth, I was like 30 minutes away. But when I spoke to you and you said Pastor Pay is on, so I had to reduce it to 15 minutes to
Yes,
reach home in
absolutely.
15 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we want to say again, welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone. Welcome. We're gonna have a very interesting program. By God's grace, everything is going good for now, and our revenue is well seated. So we're gonna go strictly to Sierra Leone, to our studio there with our brother Jerry Tableau.
Thank you very much again, Willie. And I want to again announce, since our two celebrants are here with us, happy belated birthday to Mr. Josiah
Wow.
Joker and Mr. Batan Ebele Weddy. these two good sons
Happy birthday.
had a birthday, and they had a blast. And Willie and I was on set, and Abel joined us later, but it was a wonderful thing. We also want to say welcome again, Reverend Paye. This has been a long-awaited moment, and we are excited to have you. I think you can see all of the colleagues are prepared. They are sitting to make you a bit uncomfortable and to also make you comfortable. It depends on the position that you will take. But as you told us, you came prepared, and we know that you are always prepared. Without saying much, we want to inform you that we're going to have a round of questions, and the question will be 2 questions each from the panelists here to you. And then subsequently, we will highlight the text from viewers, and then take calls, and then we'll have another round of questionings. And then after that, then we will call it a day. So we're going to have you for a pretty long time, but we know that you are prepared and you are ready for it. So to begin with, I want to say that we saw the elections, and the election has had its ups and downs. And we saw Reverend Paye in the thick and thins of the elections, crossing rivers, in canoes, and just moving. And I think that was showing a sign of ensuring that we have a kind of bishop that will be welcoming and that will move the LCL forward. But before we go into the actual, we want to ask you, Reverend Paye, what do you bring to the LCL as a person, and what are you going to bring to the LCL as a person in this new administration?
Thank you very much, and I'm happy that I can be here today. And I think when you say they will make me comfortable and uncomfortable, I too will make them comfortable and uncomfortable. What do I bring to the table as a person? I think I have been around a little bit longer in this church. And what I want to see is one LCL that is free of division. Because the song says in Christ, there is no east, no west, no south or north. So no matter who ascends to the high chair of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, the first and foremost thing is to ensure that we are one people, because this church is one. So one of the things I will bring will be to ensure that my bishop will live as a bishop for all people. He shouldn't be divisive, he shouldn't know who voted and who didn't vote for him. The fact that he is elected as the bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, he is a bishop for all people, people of different characteristics, people of different minds, diaspora and in country. And so I would like to see that. The other thing that I would like to see and also foster will be reconciliation at all levels. Whenever you have elections, it is not void of tension. And when you talk about election, people take sides. So when we are through with the election, we reach across the table and embrace each other and build one Lutheran Church in Liberia. The other thing that I bring to the table is to ensure that our people are encouraged to support and build their own church, because this church is called the Lutheran Church in Liberia. Wherever you are, whomever you are, you owe allegiance to God in serving this church, because this church is our mother when it comes to our faith in Jesus Christ. This is where we embrace Christ Jesus. So we all need to stand together. So my specific role in this administration, if I will ever live to see it go further, will be to offer the best advice that I can offer. I don't want to see a church that will break apart, a church that will be divided. So to begin with, that is what I bring to this table.
Thank you, Reverend. So before I yield to my brother Josiah Jokai, I will just want to ask my last question in the first round of questioning. Do you think the church is divided? And if you think the church is divided, why do you think it is divided?
I did not say that the church is divided. I said whenever you have election,
I didn't say
people
you
contest.
said it was divided.
Listen to
No,
me.
Reverend.
Whenever,
Sorry,
whenever
I didn't say you said it was divided. I'm saying that do you think it is divided? And if you think it is divided, on what lines you think we should concentrate on? We'll talk about reconciliation because you mentioned reconciliation too.
I am not sure this church is divided in the true sense of the word division. But I think people have differences of what they want and where they want to see their church go. And that is the reason why every contestant got a platform. To have a platform that is different from the other person means that there is something that you have dreamed about that you want to see happen. So the leader that is coming must incorporate the various platform and work toward that. That's what I call reconciliation, bringing everybody together with their different understanding into the leadership of the church. If a leader wins, he shouldn't say or she shouldn't say my platform was the best and that's what I will carry out. That is wrong. So that's what I was talking about.
Thank you. That is clear. Josiah.
Well, Reverend, thank you so much again. I don't even know how to express it. Guys, it been yes now. You know, Reverend Paye and I have not really met in person. I know when I was still in New York, that's about 3 years ago, we spoke.
Yeah.
Started briefly. And so this show has made it possible today again that we are really engaging in a meaningful way. I really appreciate it, Reverend. I want to say welcome.
Thank you.
So this is the LCL show. This is the Lutheran Connection show where we bring Lutherans from all walks of life, you know, to talk everything Lutheran. So it's really a pride for me, like my colleagues, to have you on. But before I can even ask my question, Reverend, I'd like to piggyback on your response to Jerry. I think I have some concerns there. And your response was that, hey, we don't have a division in the church. I think I want to beg to differ, Pastor Paye. Probably you could redefine division for us in a way that doesn't apply to the church. But as far as we know, probably we're reading it from different lenses, but as far as we know, there is some degree of division in the church. Prior to the election, on the eve of the election, you had a pastor suspended. Trust me, that pastor is a human being. That pastor is part of the church. That pastor apologized from what we know. That pastor, you know, tried to do everything possible to work with other pastors, colleagues, to ensure that, you know, she was forgiven. And I think in the spirit of the scriptures that you know better than we do, she thought that she would, she didn't. I think that is a point of mindfulness, if at all genuine reconciliation is going to take place. She has supporters, she has people in the church, she has followings. I think that will be a business for division. I could be wrong, Reverend, you've been in the church for long. I'm sure we haven't had a history of a pastor being deprived of running. In fact, when they become a candidate, not just an aspirant, but when they become a candidate, you can prove me right or wrong. That's one instance. The other instance is that we got this long-standing, this profound traditional. It's more like a cliche, but it's not a cliche, it's a reality that the Lutheran Church is a Loma Pele church. Other people from other regions of the country they feel offended by that in the church. Pastor Paye, you have experienced that. I have experienced it. You are pastor of St. Peter's. You know exactly the angle I'm coming from. They got those now. The new thing evolving is the American Lutherans, the American Lutheran pastors versus the Liberian Lutherans. You have that situation in the church. So these kinds of mindsets don't depict that we don't have division in the church. People look at each other and interact with others on the basis of these reasonings that they have. So I wanted you to elaborate on that a little bit. If it is not a form of division in the church, and if we have never been affected by that in the church before, let us know how. And if we have been affected by those before in the church, then tell us then maybe it's a division, but a different kind of division that you can redefine for us.
Thank you, Joe. But I think you have been around a little longer to understand some of the things that you are saying. But to begin with, let's take up the issue of Reverend David. Reverend David is still a part of this church. Reverend David did not cause any conflict at the convention. Reverend David, after what she went through, accepted the fight, and she got her letter. She went home and is waiting for the time to be reinstated. To be divided means that there is a sharp, visible line drawn, not imaginary. It could be imaginary though, but we should learn to separate the issue that has to do with Reverend Davis and what went on before the election from this whole idea of dividing the church, This church, for me, at this convention winter was not divided. What in fact happened is that while we were at that convention, it was being reported by media institutions in Monrovia that Lutheran Church was in chaos in Bangan, which was that. And he even said there were a whole lot of arms men placed there. As far as I'm concerned, only 2 police people I saw. So the church has not been divided, and it will not be divided. Let me push a little bit further. I told you that when you have many candidates running, each of them will have their own platform. That platform shows that we got ideological division. People think differently. There's something that they want to do that they know they can do best. That's why they put that. And that when the leader comes, they should be able to reconcile that. You talk about Pele and Loma. As far as I'm concerned, I have been in the church for 33 years. I've never seen a division between the Pele people and the Loma people. That has never happened.
No, Reverend, it's not between the Pele and Loma. My understanding is that the church is a Loma Pele church, which
and there you are wrong again, Joe. Because Jesus said, "Go ye therefore and make disciples of all nations." In Liberia, this church started upriver here in Monrovia, Simple River there. It went up into the Pele area, crossed into the Loma area, crossed into Nimba. It went up to the southeastern, came to Nimba, and is spreading and still going, reaching all people. So if you say that this whole idea of Pele Loma Church has been there, then we don't have any business going even to the southeastern for them to embrace us. So what may be in the mind of people is not what's happening here. This church is not Pele Loma Church. It is a church for all of the Lutherans who have accepted Jesus Christ in this country. They have a right to this church. I have not understood it like that, and I will not understand it like that. The pastors that you see, are they Pele and Loma pastors? We got Gribble, we got Baza, we got Mana, we got Gio, we got Loma, we got Bela, we got, I mean, we got the tribes that come where the Latrine Center is translating the Bible into Pele, into Basa, into Loma. Now they are hitting the southeastern. So where is this division? It's an imaginary thing that we have. It's not a reality.
Pastor, you appreciate the question?
I like the question, but I answer it. The way I answer is because I want you to understand that this church, from the day it was established from 1860 up to now, we have not had an iota of division in terms of Pele Loma Church with the other tribe going away. No, that has not happened, and it will not happen.
You heard that maxim before? That the church is a Loma Pele church?
I heard it before. I'm not denying the fact that I didn't hear it.
Great. And
but
you
I'm
appreciate
saying,
the fact that my question was able to help you to give your perspective on what
I
the
do
reality
appreciate
is.
that. I do appreciate that. But not everything that people think and say is the reality. We got to be careful about that. You know, separating the what we call the actual from the fiction, or the facts from the fiction. We need to understand that. I think I've been around too long, and I don't think I've seen anything like that yet.
You are the best person to talk about the issues. That's why we have you on today, Pastor. You can overemphasize that. The other thing has to do with the American Lutherans or Lutheran pastors versus the Liberian Lutherans, Lutheran pastors. Have you heard of any kind of conversation?
I have heard of that
perspective.
And
do you think there's any ounce of effect on the church on how we interact with each other?
Let me. I was the chairperson of the board. Do you understand?
The board of what?
The board of ministry, theology, evangelism, and adjudication.
Okay.
I was the chairperson either for 2.5 years. I was the chairperson, and when I was the chairperson, and a pastor that had the opportunity to leave, to go, I said to them, you have to write a letter stating to the church your reason for going and your intention. One such person is Yabazo. Yabazo left. He left a letter, and we have that letter on file. And he is still a roster pastor, active pastor on the list. All of the guys that are in the U.S., they are roster ministers of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. We got to learn to differentiate between active and roster.
Okay.
They are roster pastors here. They are our brothers, our sister. We have any, but they are not actively assigned to parish. What we need to do, what this administration needs to do, is to ensure that there is a revision of the policy of the constitution, of the policy of the board, if need be, to see how involved our brothers can be. But our constitution is ambiguous when it comes to the guys that are in the U.S. who left to go there because of opportunity. Take for instance, and I'm a former board chair, and I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
Chocolong and Boima, they left at a point in which they were having crisis in their pastoral life. They had to leave. You understand? So they did not go because they wanted to go, but because of the way things went. And I'm someone I don't want to say much about some of the things we talk about. But they know, and I indicated that in one report that Boima and Tokolom, they left for psychological refuge. And that was enough to communicate that to them. And so such ministers who left, who did not write, I think in my mind, as a former board chair, I wouldn't label them in the way that we're labeling them here. But you know, when and I must admit that when you have elections where you are campaigning, a lot of things happen during campaign. But after campaign, I think we come together as people and understand ourselves and push the church forward. So what I would like to see happen is a revision of the Constitution, specifically the aspect that relating to ministers that leave from here to go to the ministers in the diaspora, because we are all one and we need to see the church go forward. That's what I have to say to that.
I like the fact that you talk about roster pastor versus inactive pastor. All of you, that means that all of you, once you're ordained, and you were rostered before, no matter where you are a roster pastor of the LCL.
Exactly. Even those who died, they say, when we go to convention, we say, deceased. They are there, their names are there.
So
and it will not be erased.
So inactive is my focus, being inactive. So does that mean you have inactive pastors? You have roster pastors in Liberia and in the diaspora. Also inactive pastor, they are roster pastors, but inactive in Liberia. Do you have pastors in Liberia who are roster but inactive?
Okay. In Liberia, we have pastors that are roster that are not active. They are retired. Some are sick, yet they are here.
Or some are not assigned.
In the US,
they don't have assignments.
And
they don't have assignments. There are some in one category without assignments, right?
I don't know how many pastors yet that don't have assignment. Name me one.
No, I'm asking if you have pastors who are roster pastor in Liberia but are not assigned. They don't have assigned parishes or churches or preaching points. Do you have any category?
We don't have any pastor in Liberia that is not assigned.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. We have those that are sick and were retired because of that.
Jerry, I see you unmuted yourself. Sorry, Pastor Paye. Jerry, you're unmuted yourself. You wanted to say something to that?
Yeah, to say that, no, not to say, I mean, it's getting interesting, but I think you have asked more than 5 questions. I wanted for I mean, Josiah, that's the reason why we miss you, because I mean, you get us gigging, man.
that was just a follow up to your question. I haven't asked my questions, Ambassador.
But let Joe complete. I know where he wants to go.
Now I can ask my 2 questions. Pastor Paye has answered the question. He said there's no category in Liberia with roster pastors who are inactive. So it means that all the Lutheran church, the LCL pastors in Liberia, they are all assigned. So that's okay.
But no, you're going the wrong way. Mm-hmm. There are roster pastors that are not assigned because they are either retired due to illness, mm-hmm. and they cannot, be in parish.
Right.
There are some that are retired based on the retirement age inscribed in the Constitution. But there is no pastor here that are roster that is not retired and not assigned.
Yeah.
We are all assigned.
That's the category of concern. That's the category I was concerned about. And it's implicit. It's implicit that the pastors that are retired, that are pensioned, is implicit. We can't ask questions about those. I was really focused on those who are roster and whether or not we have people in our category, they are rostered, but they don't have assignments and they are not retired. But I mean, your clarification is excellent. It's very good, Pastor. And that's why I say you are the best person to address these issues. Now, my colleagues, I beg you, it's just going to be 5 minutes. I ask one of my questions, Pastor Paye answer, and I ask the second, he answer, I'm out. So, Pastor Paye, at the convention, you adopted a resolution. When I say you, it's collective of colleagues. So you adopted a resolution to be able to move away from people just having the decision aroused from within them about running for the bishop position in the church. This time around, where you come together collectively as a clergy and make a decision to put two candidates up front, to be able to run. Was that a resolution that you passed? This is really a yes or no question.
Yes.
Okay, great.
But so I don't like to answer yes or no. I like to give you a historical synopsis.
My question will give you the opportunity to give the historicity. Maybe you can paraphrase it. But I just wanted to be sure, so that I don't ask a dumb question, Pastor, to be sure that resolution was passed. Yeah. So my first question would be, what's the chemistry? Because it's still going to be an election anyway. Two persons will be competing. And what even makes it troubling is the fact that the clergy will now have to determine the two persons that will run, meaning that you will have so many people with interest to run, and you will compare others not to run, to forgo their interest just to support two persons. That is one that is troubling, because it's going to be contentious. And then two, when those two persons come out, the support mechanism is also going to be troubling. We're now moving away from some of these election issues that we've been having decades old. So what makes you think this is the right decision? Why not just cancel the issue of election and adopt a mechanism by which you can just select the bishop, the next bishop?
Joe, you are not a pastor. Then you want to look inside the ministerium. Let me say this to you. The convention passed a resolution.
Right.
The details will be worked out by the Board of Ministry, Theology, and Evangelism. Without those details, I cannot go ahead to assume what will happen. It won't be fair. So let's just wait and see what the BMTEA will do. But I can assure you they will do something that will be better for this church.
And Pastor Paye,
Joe, you see, Joe, you have picked up something. Joe, you have picked up something. Sorry, Joe is troublesome. He has picked up something. Reverend, I mean, despite the fact you attempt to answer the question, to assume, but without admitting that, we are looking into the pastoral stuff. But we got concerned because if trouble happens there, it becomes a trouble for all of us, even the flocks. So we are concerned. And I think selection is a form of democracy. So we are just making another suggestion. We hope that when you guys are deliberating, you could consider that too as a strong option or recommendation.
Tableau.
Yeah, Remy.
I was in Rome 2001 on a study tour in the Vatican. That was Pope John Paul II administration. And I asked the question, how is the Pope selected? The cardinals go into prayer for many days or weeks, as long as they're there. And whatever happened in that room, we don't know. But when you see the smoke coming out of the furnace, that means a Pope has been selected. So why do you want me to carry you into the room, the decision-making room of the ministers, when the BMTEA that is clothed with the authority of producing bishop has not gone in this setting to look into the resolution and to write out the policy for the ministers to agree. So anything I'm going to be saying here to you will not be it will not represent the board, and I'm not close with that authority. Secondly, do not begin to look at conflict into something that has not yet taken place. You understand what I'm saying? So let's leave this thing with the BMTEA. We got a very qualified board chair with Reverend Robert Gono, well experienced. We know in subsequent time, the board is going to sit down and work on the resolution of the church, and the pastor will just be all right. Maybe you might be surprised one day they will come to you and say, we only have one candidate. How they selected it? That one you just leave it, because they are doing it into their pastoral room, into the where the ministerium. There those decisions will take place. But indeed, we have, as a church, we took a decision to do away with tension during election. During election, there's too much tension in this church. And when you have tension like that, it doesn't present the church well into the outside world or to the outside people. We should remain a church that will promote peace. And to be frank with you, this convention was a very strong convention that will forever be remembered, because what people expected did not come to pass, like the tension and the fighting. I think I want to
Okay,
start
Joy,
there
your
in
last
addressing that issue.
On a serious note,
Joy, your
Pastor
last
Paye,
question.
I agree with you. Absolutely, my last. I agree with you 100% that the convention was very successful. We all wish for that. We pray for that, and we remain in touch with brothers and sisters back home, because the church is our church. That's the pride we have, and we will always do that. In fact, that's why we have this platform. To be able to talk the issues, discuss the issues, so that people don't go with negative thoughts and mindsets that will affect the church that belongs to all of us. So we appreciate that. Also, I want to add that there is no way that I can question the reputation of the BMTEA in terms of their qualification to be able to handle the resolution passed at the last convention. But here is the problem that I have. How would you determine a resolution of that nature without responding appropriately to the questions of how, why, when, and where? Because those kinds of decisions evolve as a result of the chemistry, the possibility of doing it. Because you can tell me that it was just an idea that sprung up. Somebody say, okay, so what we do, the clergy will this time around going forward should be able to decide, on the bishopric. Everybody say yes. Then we say, okay, we come up with two names, during the period to do that to evolve. So as an election expert, that's my lens, and I could be wrong. I'm not looking into your ministerium to see what's going to happen. But as an election expert, the fight is that you are still going to have election. And whenever election takes place, it's a competition of ideas. It's a form of division in the thought processes and the engagement with the process. So that's why I asked the question, what was the chemistry? And how is it going to be? But since you don't have it now, you have made a decision, but you will develop the chemistry later. Well, that's good. We wish the BMTEA well, and we hope that they succeed in deriving, a chemistry that will be acceptable to the church and that will be able to produce leaders on smooth atmospheres, normal conditions, and to preserve the reputation of the church, to promote peace, reconciliation, and stability in the church. That's our wish, Pastor. So I'd like to end my first round of questioning on that note, and I will get back to Jerry, who is moderating our discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Josiah. I think it was a mouthful for Pastor, and we really appreciate your coming back. The return of Josiah. We appreciate that. Bob Willie.
Yeah.
Before you go with your question, please, can you recognize some of our viewers and welcome them? Then you can go with your two.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe in some time to come we will be giving prizes out to the very first few people who will be joining on. Today on here, I see the Reverend smiling because all of his parishioners are tuning in.
Yeah.
Our brother Royal Jerome Jala want to recognize you. Want to recognize brother Abin. Come on. Want to recognize all the people from Bannersville Parish, beginning with Sis Kopo Sile, Sis Naomi, Madama Miller, Sis Cynthia Smith. We also want to recognize our senior brother Stephen Z. Culver. He's following us from Banga. Um, our sister Patience, um, Howell, Howley, she's also following us from Lakwazi. Um, uh, our brother Newell Kennedy, um, and also our senior brother, the Buxton Cully, brother James Malva, brother Elijah Zena, um, and brother yeah, I did mention him, brother Royal Jerome Jalla. So those are some of the names that we could highlight. But quickly, I would just go into my two questions. Then, if we don't get brother Josiah, not Josiah, but brother Abel, then
Do
we
we
will
have
highlight.
online comments? Do we have online comments and questions?
Yeah. Okay.
Can we roll them?
Yeah, we can roll. Yeah, we can roll few of them.
Yeah, roll few of them so Reverend
Yeah.
can see and maybe.
Yeah, I would start with your parishioners because today
I
is
beg
their
you, don't select. Don't select. I just want you to roll them. It's not fair to
just roll
Reverend.
all of them.
Roll
Okay.
all the comments and the questions that you
Brother,
have.
brother Royal Jerome Jara is watching. Brother, come on, Barnaby Parish. Brother Stephen Corver, another Barnaby parishioner. Uh,
Naomi.
yeah, Naomi. These are all your people, right?
Yeah, zombie.
Yeah, Sis Zombie.
Those are my girls.
Whether
Yeah.
those are our people, those are my people too. Ambassador, are they not your people?
they,
Certainly
they
they
keep
are.
on saying,
Certainly they are.
Those are my
they,
strong girls. Don't mind them.
right? They keep on saying that's our TZP. That's what they said. That's our TZP. So
Don't mind them. They are great
Will they
people.
please
You see
bring
them. So
Abel on? Will they please bring Abel on? Abel is in
yeah,
the
we're
back
gonna bring
room.
it. We're gonna
Okay,
bring it,
good.
Abel.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
and yeah, quickly. Sorry, folks. I'm just gonna try to roll in real quick. Yeah, sis couple is right here. Sis Naomi again. You know, my
my
own
goodness.
TZP.
You
Brother
know, you know why
Stephen.
they call me Kenny?
No.
Kenny is the name of my little Jeep, so they call me Kenny. It means little rat. Don't matter, guys. So
Yeah. So Brother Stephen Cora was saying, please, he said we should speak on the division, spoken of. I am he said he's on an official duty.
Okay.
Uh so since now means this couple we've highlighted some of their comments. All right, brother Newell is here. He said he's late. Uh, and also we'll have our sister Marlene. Sis Marlene Mulba is following us. Sorry, I think
This
I
is
just
good.
skipped. I
This
skip
is
her.
good.
I skip her. Sis Marlene is following us. Um, okay, then brother Stephen Culver. We have brother James Mulva. He's saying that you see this is beginning to bring conflict in the church, and he said roster pastor should never take over the church as bishop. Say roster pastor should be in the country for again, like Pastor Allison said, the BMT is going to visit that. They're going to come up with everything. There is a reaction to that.
Pastor Pay, see the angle I came from. You see that comment, Pastor Pay? You see the angle I came from with that question?
I
that's
think I think
you
that's
know,
a
you know,
cool.
you know, Joe. Let's.
yeah. So I think
Anyway, go ahead with
Noah
it.
is excited. Yeah, Noah is excited to see his former pastor as his
Yeah.
former
I see
senior
the
pastor.
excitement, the
Yeah,
emoji.
whoa, Pastor P.
Wow.
Yeah, this is one pastor. Yeah. So and then the Anthony Boston College came up with this comment. He said inactive is not provided in the Constitution, like Pastor P was talking about. And he said we should read
Article
Article
11.
11, Section 8. Yeah, I had to do a little bit of math quickly in my head. 11, Section 8. And he talk about a provision for qualification. Then Reverend, sorry,
That's a Roman number. You are
yeah,
not an Italian. That's a
I
Roman number.
know. So, Brother Stephen Kova also asked a question. He was asking for some of the other pastors, Reverend Kuwalazu, and also talked about Reverend Small. Uh, Brother Elijah Zena tried to give some highlights. Talk about Reverend Maki, Reverend Small, Reverend Kuwalazu. Um, he also talked about Reverend John A. I don't know who's John A. And also, yeah, Tony came back again with another comment. Say, I do agree. There are ambiguities within the Constitution, but to have used those ambiguities to unleash a fight against a fellow pastor was totally unacceptable. I think that's comment that the Reverend can look at, and um,
Okay, we'll continue. It looks like Abe has
yeah,
some challenge
there are
with
a
the
lot of them.
internet.
So, Brother Abel is back. We're
It's
gonna
not
give him
connecting. So
the.
maybe we'll get Abe the
We can take
chance, and then we
Abe
can
right now.
continue. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, brother Abel. Brother Abel, are you hearing us? Okay.
Okay, thank you,
All
folks.
right. I would
I
just.
will
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
quickly call off my camera because of the
Yeah.
fluctuation between the in and out the
Yes.
line.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Okay. Um, yes. Uh, Thank you so much. I have just a few questions for Pastor Paye that I want to ask him. Usually when a leader comes to the forefront of leadership, uh, they have been surrounded by people who put their ideals and ideologies into place to make that leader to be who they are. But most time along the way, uh, people kind of start to fall off. Start to fall off. My question quickly to Pastor P would be, what will make you to break out with Reverend Bishop Pamo? So,
What will make me to break away? Is that a question?
yes, to break out with him. Absolutely, that's the question. What would make you to break away?
You know, when I'm counseling, when I'm doing premarital counseling, that's one of the first questions I can ask the couple. What will make you separate? And then they will say, oh, if I find my husband with another woman, or if I find my wife with another man. Sometimes I sit down there, or some of them will say, oh, when he cheat on me, when he does this. Many people are not brave to put up fight with the leader and force them to make it right. Padmo and I have a long-standing history. The first time he stood up, I didn't vote for him because I had a commitment to Bishop Jensen Sayanglo. We started that in the US. When he came, I stood for him. He came to me and I said, you are my brother. We come a long way from seminary singing together, but I made a commitment to Dr. Sayanglo. So I cannot leave him. Okay? And when it became time to support him, I supported him. Padmo knows me. The reason why we are close is that we are able to tell each other the truth. If Bishop Padmo changed lane, I would be the first person to tell him you are changing. I'm not going to break away. Breaking away is a sign of weakness. I'm not going to do that. I'm not a weak person. So let me just let you know that I'm not a breakaway person. I will stay and I will fight and show that he does the right thing. I wouldn't quit.
Abe, you can continue.
Okay, thank you so much, Pastor. When I was talking about breakout, I was not necessarily saying that you will break away, but you people would disagree on opinions of issues that maybe you could be outside of the corridor of leadership, right? That's what I was speaking to. And once you are outside of the corridor, it means you will not have the grip to kind of advance your idea to keep practicing. That is very common most time. That's what I was speaking to. But let me quickly run to my second question.
No, but let me give me a break.
Every
Give me a break,
election
Abel.
got
Abel.
season.
Abel.
I mean, the season comes and goes. Right now, the elections we just came from, that was the season for it that brought in.
You know, Reverend Paye, he got some 15 to 10
Yes,
minutes
Pastor, I'm here.
break in between, so he won't hear you immediately. So I think you would just give him a chance to ask a second question, and then after that you can combine everything, and then you just answer once and for all. So Abel, continue. Just complete your second question.
I think Abel got a technical issue.
No, he got a few minutes delay, so that's the problem. Yeah. He listening now, but he got a few minutes delay.
Okay, thank you so much, Jerry. What I was saying is that election has season. The election we just came from was a special season that brought in that brought in that brought in the, that brought in the Reverend Bishop that brought in the Reverend Bishop Pamo at this time. And I strongly believe, I'm of the strongest opinion that in the next 5 years, I mean, the dynamics of elections in this church will also change. I'm cognizant of that. Maybe in the next 10 years, the dynamic of elections will continue changing as the time changes. My second question is, in the future, will you be willing to support any of the pastors that live in the diaspora to become bishop of this church? Thank you.
Once the Constitution can be revised, once the policy of the church can be revised, that reflect the holistic nature of the minister of the church as minister of the LCL, wherever you are, we can support anybody based on the revision of the policy and the Constitution, the Constitution and the bylaws. You know what brings conflict in election, and Joe, you know that, is the Constitution and the bylaw. What is said that what people pick up and run with. So when the Constitution is ambiguous, you have problems. So once the administration of the Right Reverend Bishop Padmo sees it necessary to work and rework the Constitution as as recommended by the convention, we definitely will see reason to support anybody who qualifies.
Okay, so Wade, go quickly with your question, then we can open the line for our callers if we got in the call. And then you please place the numbers there for the callers. And please place Abel's number there so those in Liberia, if they want to call, they can use Abel's number to get through. Wade.
Absolutely. Again, Reverend, want to say thank you very much. My first question, I want to go back to Brother Josiah and Brother Tablo's question regarding device. From your responses so far, I think you want to agree with me that there might not be a physical division as you said it, but there is an ideological division. That's why you spoke about reconciliation. Because if there's no division, there will be no need to reconcile. Do you want to agree with me on that, Reverend?
When I spoke about platforms in different years, I want to agree with you.
Okay. All right. So that brings me to my first question, and I ask this to every other guest that have come here since after the elections. And it still has to do with the messaging that some people were carrying out. Speaking of us versus them and local versus diaspora, do you support such messaging?
To support us versus them.
Mhm.
I don't think I ever mentioned that. Even in my fight,
No, no, no,
I didn't.
Remy. No, no, Remy. I'm not saying you. I'm saying, do you support? Some people said it. Some people said it, and it was around. Some people said it, and again, I want to mention that even a Baptist pastor that went to school with some of our Lutheran pastors at GST spoke to me about it. So I'm only asking. It would be like a yes or no, which has a
No,
follow
I
up.
don't deny
Do
the
you
fact that
support?
people said that.
Yeah. Do you support such message in our
Us
church?
and them. No, I've never been divisive.
No, no, no. I said, do you support such message?
I don't support it. That's what I'm saying to you.
Okay, okay, good,
Us
good.
versus them.
Yeah, us versus them, right?
Mhm.
So this brings me to my I would say my second question. Okay,
Yeah.
that in one of the platforms you said that when there was time to take vote on the issue of Reverend Davis, you abstain, and I stand to be correct. You abstained during the time vote was
Not
taken.
only did I say, but I abstain
Right, you abstained. Yeah, you abstained. Okay, you
in the
took stand at that
convention.
time. Right, you took stand at that time. So my question now is, you took stand at the time decision was taken against Reverend Davis, but and you agree that you saw such a negative message which you do not support. But why you did not take stand at that time? Why you did not come up to make a position saying that this is not, perhaps this is not fair for us to be saying as Lutheran Christians or as brethren, why you did not take stand at that time? And again, this not only to you, I've asked this question to
No, I'm not.
everyone.
I'm not sure. I'm Willie.
Mhm.
I want you to be very clear because I like
Okay,
to
so,
answer
so, so, so,
questions.
right. So my question is, my question
Yeah,
is,
I did. I
why?
abstained in the convention when the vote was being taken.
Yes, you took.
I
So,
abstained.
yes, so
You
you
want
took
to
a
know why I
position.
abstained?
No, no, no. It's the question is not about you abstaining. You took a position at that time, right? You took a position, and your position was to abstain. Some people voted in favor, some people voted against, but you abstained. So you took a position. So my question is, when people were making these remarks, us versus them, on the ground versus not on the ground, local versus diaspora and everything, why you did not take a position then or during that time?
Oh, you're talking about during the campaign time.
Yeah, when people were making those remarks, when people were making those comments, why you did not take a stand?
But how sure are you that I did not? Or you wanted me to write on the Lutheran connections? Is that what you wanted?
I mean, it could have been anywhere for the record to reflect.
That's a
Again,
good
But
question.
I think
That's a
Willie,
good
Willie,
question,
this is
Pastor
what I
Jay.
did. Willie,
yes,
Willie,
yes,
Willie.
yeah.
I know where your question is dragging to, and I will address that.
No, no, no,
Willie,
yeah, yeah, no.
Willie,
So
listen
no,
to me.
my question
Willie,
simply is no. I
Willie,
come in,
I come.
Reverend P.
Listen now.
I
Listen. Let
come
me
in, no,
address you.
no, no, Reverend P. Let me clear something before you address. Let me just clear something. Let me just clear something quick. Again, I want to clear. I want to say that you are not the only person. You can go back to the previous clips, the previous show that we've had. I asked this question to
Yeah.
Reverend Zizi. When Reverend Zizi came, I asked him the question and I pointed out Thomas Kiddo. He made that remark. And Thomas Kiddo was on the side of Reverend Zizi. I asked him that question specifically. But he said that he did not come up to take a position. He told people, no, that message is not good, but he did not take a position. I asked that
And that
question to Reverend. I asked that question to Reverend Goba when he came here to ask him the same question why he did not take a stand, and he had his response. So I'm asking that question to you as a pastor because you people are our leaders, but
I
you did
didn't,
not
I
take
didn't,
a
I
stand.
didn't, Willie,
Yeah,
I didn't come on the social media or the Lutheran Connections for post on some of the things. I said to my brothers and sisters that we needed to calm down some of these things because this church was one. I know very well that people out there in the diaspora, they are our brothers. And so even in the midst of politics, we should be civil. You understand? But to go stand and say, oh, and I want you to know that there were a lot of things that we did behind the scene. Seriously, I abstained at the convention from voting against and Reverend Davis, and I know my reason why I did that as a pastor.
right.
I'm the only one that can explain that.
Yeah, sure.
Some people will say, "Oh, he's a smart man. He did that for vote." No, it wasn't for vote,
No, no,
and I
no.
know
I'm
why I
not
did it. And
asking.
I'm the only
No,
person
I'm
that
not
knows.
asking. No, I wasn't asking for your reason. I'm only saying that you took a stand at that time, but when people were propagating these messages, you did not take a stand. So and it's not only you. I did not see
No,
this for any
we
Lutheran
say we
pastor
did not come up publicly to say
to rebuke that. Yes,
we did not. I did not come up publicly to take a
to
stand.
rebuke that. Yes.
I did
Yeah,
not come up
not
publicly
you
to
in
take a stand,
particular.
but I
Not you
talked to
in
some
particular.
people not to.
Not you in particular, but all I did not see that
Okay,
from any Lutheran pastor, any LCL Lutheran pastor. I did not see that. I'm just trying to say that I did not see that from
uh,
any LCL Lutheran pastor.
well, when you are in politics is mind driven, and a lot of things happen in politics. So that was just some of the misgivings of politics, the side effect of politics, and church politics, and that's why we are trying to get rid of it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. I just wanted to get your response to that. That's all. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Look, Witty, you and Josiah, Reverend, I hope you seen your children, right? For me, I'm a diplomat.
So look
I will
at
remain I will remain that way. Witty and Josiah and Abel choose to be the one to corner you. For me, I'll remain very diplomatic.
that's why I
But
used to refuse to come on the Lutheran Connection.
Huh?
this is an open confession.
You what?
This is an open confession.
Willie invited me several times. I said no.
And that's true. That's true. He's right. I contacted him so many times. Yes.
So,
Great.
so
This is
you
this is
want to say you've been following, and now it is time for us to give you the opportunity so that you can also place your questions and also place your call to Reverend Thomas Z. Paye. The number to participate are on the screen. Two numbers there from Liberia for our viewers from Liberia to call. And then we have our WhatsApp numbers for our viewers in the US to also place the call and participate. This is the Lutheran Connection where we discuss all things Lutheran. And we are hosting today Reverend Thomas Z. Paye. Reverend Paye is one of the senior pastors of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. Reverend Paye has been involved into the bishopric election campaign. Reverend Paye took many decisions. Some of them were very good, most of them, so to speak. Reverend Paye has availed himself after having confessed that the Lutheran Connection have been a platform he's been avoiding. He's here tonight. So we got the opportunity to ask him all of the necessary questions
we have a call,
we need to ask him.
Ambassador.
So yeah, Joe, take the call. Go with it.
Willie, are you muted?
Sorry. State your name and your question, please.
some of the pastors caused the convention the way it went. I personally made a statement in the Moraga District chat room that the dean of the Moraga District took me from the chat room because I said in my position that Reverend Paye is trying to divide the church. I already divided. Reverend Paye was one of the persons who was going around from church to church carrying documents in his possession that Reverend Goba was not a roster pastor of the church. I'm just surprised that Reverend Paye will come on the show tonight and say they got a roster pastor and they got a sound pastor when they were there fighting to take one of their own kind from the list. For me, as a lay person, I think that was not good at all. The pastors should start doing this and unite to move our church forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Reverend Pierre, I sure it was a comment, was not a question. Do you have any other question? Willie?
No, but I don't know who
No, he said his name was Nuo. That
I
was
don't
Nuo
know who
calling
was
him.
speaking.
No, he said his name is Nuo. He called him on WhatsApp. Yeah, Nuo.
Oh, from St. Peter?
From St. Peter's, yeah.
I
Let
don't
me
know.
see here. I think we
But I think he's not speaking the truth.
all right. We have another caller. Hold on one second.
Yeah, Willie, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, we have another caller. Go ahead. Go ahead, please, and tell us your name and you can make your comment or question or ask your question.
My name is Elijah and I'm calling you from Minnesota. Well, I want to say thank you to all of you on the show tonight, as you've been doing as usual. And thank you to Pastor Paye for coming on the show today to talk about some of these things. You know, like I said in the past, the pastors of the LCL, they are the problem of the LCL. And they set a precedent, and the precedent came to bite them in this going election. You see, when Bishop Jesse came from America after he'd been away so long, and he came to Liberia to run as a bishop, Pastor Paye and other pastors in the LCL and some of the senior brothers on the show, they all lined up behind Pastor Jesse then to become the bishop of the LCL. A decision that some of us protested from the executive council level, but nobody could listen to us. And we knew that it was a bad precedent that was being set by the church, and it was the same situation in the case of Goba. And they tried to correct that precedent in Goba's case that led all these rigmarole and Wuda battle. And because Bishop Jensen felt that he was obligated to Goba because Goba was one of the people behind his election, so he wanted to help him to become the bishop. But the people of the LCL voted the way they voted in protest as a means of correcting that mistake. Not the pastor did nothing. It was the people of the LCL that voted the way they voted in order to correct the mistakes of the pastors. So my recommendation would be the pastors of the LCL, they need to go back in the corner. We need to go back to convention, bring the Constitution, and lay out what qualification you need to possess to run for the bishop, because the bishopric election or the bishop position is the highest position in our church, and we have to put it in a sacred place, and we got to protect it. Not all the time we go to elections and then we come from that there's war battle, there's that one, because people are so much evil genius. People are hiding their fingers, they are throwing the rock hard in their faces because they want to be seen as the good ones. But when some people who want to be seen as we can say, I want to say what I feel, you become the bad person because you are saying the truth. And the truth hurts. So let the church be the church. Let the church make the right decision and put all of the wrong mistakes they've done in the past, let them correct those mistakes to avoid the church going down the road of conflict after every bishopric election. And the only people that can face that would be the pastors. Lay people can never become bishop in the LCL. So they got for me, I don't care if I'm voting for a bishop. I don't care. But why should I be voting for a bishop when I can't even become a bishop? I can become a president of Liberia. So when you deprive me of becoming for voting in Liberia, I will protest that because I am a citizen. I got the right. I can be a president. But if I'm not theologically inclined, that qualifies me to be a bishop of the church, why should I be voting for the president to go there? I got no say in that. I can only provide advice to that process, but I can't vote. So the church need to go back to the constitution and take the lay people out of the election process, because some lay people disrespect the pastors in the process of the bishopric election. So lay people should be left out of this process. And I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
What do we
Again,
have another caller?
no, we do not have any call coming in.
But
Again,
Reverend Paye,
you can
we
send me.
would like to respond to.
Yeah.
We would like to respond to that, and then maybe in that interval, we may have questions.
Yeah. I'd like to respond to Nuwo Collier.
Yeah, newer candidate, and then
Nuwo candidate from St. Peter.
Yeah.
I want Nuwo to state clearly the churches that I went to with document in my hand. I am a very sensible pastor. I've been around. I got self-respect. If I raise a constitutional issue against Goba, it was at the election commission that I did it. I did not carry document. It was at the convention in Phoebe that I also raised issue not only against Goba, but also issues coming out of the decision on the floor that was not good, decision that were not good for the church. I raised it. In my life in this church, I've never taken paper going from church to church, just like what like people call Hobojo, election Hobojo. I went to election commission. I stated my case. Election commission said no, they would not respect my case. My case was dismissed and thrown out, and we went out to campaign. So I don't know how many churches did I go to? Call them, because I'm assigned at Saint. I'm assigned at Bannersville. Even in Bannersville, the people will tell you I never once they stood up in that congregation to run campaign. They will tell you that. I respect myself as a pastor. I know where to carry my case. If I went there and it didn't work, I came out. I didn't complain. At convention, I raised my issue in Phoebe. So I don't know how many churches I went to. I don't know where did I go. So where Nuwo is coming from with this? Yes, I objected based on the constitutional provision on Reverend Goba candidacy. So I didn't go around with paper in my hand running from congregation to who got that kind of energy to waste. I didn't do that. You should know that when you have elections, people are bound to run campaign. Yeah, some people call on that I should be I should be retired because I'm still in the church, but I didn't know the basis for which she was, trying to put forward that suggestion. It didn't work. But I think Zina is right in some of the things he said. We, the pastors, we have been some of the problems in the church regarding elections. And we are glad that we come to the point that we will make a decision. What we did in 1995 with Bishop Harris, if that had continued, we wouldn't have had this thing. So the best thing, let the pastor handle this aspect and let the lay people get away from there. So I do agree with Zina.
All right. So until we can get another quarter or sets of quarters, Josiah, the second round, you can take the first two questions. But just bear in mind that if we got quarter, we may stop you to have the quarter placing the question. So Josiah, you can proceed.
Yeah, that's the tradition, and absolutely we'll do that. Thank you, Ambassador. Pastor, thank you so much. I really appreciate the fact that you're on the show today. There are a lot of things that are coming up, and we need to talk about that people have not had the opportunity to listen to you. So I really hope you are enjoying the opportunity too, Pastor. Yeah, great. So
and we hope you'll come back now. Saying you've been avoiding all you hear now. So
Pastor will always come. In fact, he will encourage other people to come and tell them that it's not the way we thought. You guys need to go.
Exactly.
Right. So, Pastor, many of the responses you've given, you've linked them to policies of the church and the need for change. So in a nutshell, I thought to ask you this. Are you calling for constitutional reform, a comprehensive constitutional reform?
I think at the convention it was discussed and everybody wished for that.
So I'd like to find out from you, your perspective, your lens on this. Is something realistic to do that you think we should do as a church?
Yes.
Great. So if we are supposed to do a constitutional reform, Pastor, specifically, what would be the first 3 major changes you think should be effected in that change? The first 3.
We should look at ministerium first.
And what is that?
And when I talk about ministerium, you know what it means.
No.
Right?
No.
When we talk about ministerium, we look at the aspect that has to do with the pastors, ordained pastor of the Lutheran Church and their status. We should look at the tenure of bishop.
Reverend, sorry to interrupt. Can you just hold on the question? I'm very sorry to interrupt. I have a caller on the line, and the person is calling international, so they don't bring all their minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
Tell
go
us your
ahead.
name
Go ahead
and
with
your
it.
question, please, or your comment.
Okay, this is Brother Boxing. This is Brother Boxing Cully. I would like us to be very frank. Are you getting me?
Yes, we are hearing you very well. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, because the convention is now over and we are moving towards reconciliation. There is no pretense about division in the church, about hate in the church. Some of the things we saw during the convention were quite detestable. Let me be frank, especially among Lutheran pastors. These are people who should lead by example. But the level of hate that we saw among the pastors, okay, was even enough to drive some of us away from the church. I heard Pastor Paye say he is not divisive. That was pretentious of him. Let's be frank. If we must reconcile the church and move forward, we have to be frank and identify the problems here. We have to identify the problems here. If we don't identify the problem and we attempt to think that we go into a reconciliation process cosmetically, the problem was still there. During the convention, what we saw Pastor Paye and Mackay do, okay, should be condemned. Us and them, they were the architects of that. Pastor Paye should be frank here. He should not sit in your studio there or wherever he is and pretend about it. With all due respect, the way they proceeded with their campaign against some of their colleagues left wounds that we'll have to be very careful how we kill. So we have to identify the problems. We talk about ITIS and roster. Read the Constitution. Where in the Constitution does it say you must be an active member to be qualified for bishop? Read Article 11, Section 8. It's clear the eligibility criteria for bishop. Where did it come from with ITIS and roster? Where did it come from with ITIS and roster? Past conventions. Goba has always come and attended past conventions in this country. He has voted. He has participated in conventions. One of the requirements of the Constitution is that to be a registered member of the pastor, you should participate in conventions. He has come and voted. But now it was time for him to contest the bishop post. So they come to say he was not eligible because he was not an active member of the church. That was not proper. That was a display of hate towards a colleague. And they went beyond that. I'm told a letter was written from here to go back bishop in the States. Okay? What the content was, I don't know, but I know it was related to the convention. How could you have gone so far with a fellow minister that after the convention we all still remain brothers, we all still remain in one church? Now I heard him talk about the church needs to work together to move forward. Having done all of that, what moral standing do you have to talk about reconciliation? What moral standing do you have? That's the question. So yes, we agree to go
to reconciliation to move the church forward. But it should not be coming from the likes of Pastor Paye, the likes of Pastor McKay. It should be coming from some other mouths. For me, as a Lutheran, I don't want to pretend about this. This is my feeling. All right? We have to identify what the problems are, solve those problems, address those problems, and then move to the reconciliation table and move the church forward. If we pretend about it, the reconciliation will be cosmetic, and the church will still be buried in hate and division. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Reverend Pierre, we're going to give you the time to just respond to these comments. I don't think there are questions, there are comments. But we also have another caller who was trying to call when Father Buxton was calling. So I was trying
No,
to.
Woody, get in touch with him. Let Reverend Paye just note
Yeah,
the
Reverend
comment,
Pierre, that's
and
what I'm
then
saying. Reverend Pierre will continue, and I will
Is
try
the
to
caller
get
on? Is the caller on? And we also took notes. I also took note. I can
You took
remind
notes?
Reverend
Okay,
Pierre.
okay.
Is the caller
So
on?
let me go back to that person. Let me go back to the person.
Yeah, just put the caller on.
Yeah. Let me go back to the person.
Reverend Paye, are you there?
Yeah, Reverend Paye is here.
Reverend Pierre is there, yeah.
Oh, Reverend Paye is
Hopefully we
seems
can
to
get
be-
Reverend Pierre while we're trying to get this while we're
Is he
trying to
not?
get this person.
Yeah.
Reverend Paye should be having a technical issue. Is he?
All right. All right, caller. I mean, we try reaching out to you, so if you can please give us a call back. We had a caller on the phone when you were calling, so that's the reason why we couldn't take your call. So, but I think it's brother Collie.
It's up. The person will call back. The
Yeah,
person will
the
call
person
us
is going to
back,
call back. But
obviously.
while we are with Reverend Pierre to come, there were some concerns that was raised by Father Anthony Colley. I mean, we can perhaps just maybe kind of look at it.
You're talking about busing?
Yeah.
Yeah, but those things are noted. I think we should think about bringing Pastor Paye on.
Reverend
Is he
Pierre.
in the
Okay,
background? Is he in the
let me
background?
try to reach out to. I'm going to try to reach out to Reverend Pierre. Maybe if we can even have him on the phone.
Yeah, the network here tonight is really terrible. Usually I don't
Ibe
experience
is
this.
on.
Yeah. Is it raining there, Ibe?
Yeah, it's been raining all day. Maybe that's why I got the connection so bad up.
Ibe, is it possible that you could help us to
Yeah.
place a direct call if you got his number?
Direct call to
Maybe he's
Reverend
not
Pierre.
online.
Yeah, maybe he can drop off and give a direct call to Reverend Pierre, please, locally.
So while we
Yeah, it's
waiting-
possible. It's possible, but the only problem is that myself are having this student connections. It's not really for it. That's why I call off my camera, even if I bring it on
No,
the phone.
we are not talking about on the internet. Maybe he may not be on. So we're talking about direct call, Lone Star to Lone Star, or Second, or Orange to Orange.
Yeah, if you can
Just so
just
that
reach
you
him
guys
and follow up, yeah, and get if you can give us update from him.
Yes, I'm doing that right now. I'm doing
Okay.
it right now.
Okay.
Josiah, proceed. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to interject that I think senior brother Colley raised some critical issues, and he laid them out very well. These are serious concerns that I think if we have the opportunity of having Pastor Paye back, he too will actually appreciate addressing them, because he said it in a way that proves that he, Colley, is really concerned about these issues. He talked about the us versus them theory,
Yeah.
quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
and he claims that Pastor Paye and Pastor Mackay were the architect. They were the one propagating that us versus them theory. He also claimed that there is no constitutional provision to support the theory of ITIF and roster pastor, that Pastor Paye talked about. He said that the constitutional provision on eligibility criteria for people to run for the office of bishop don't mention in any way ITIF in ITIF or roster or not roster pastors doesn't talk about it. And he talked about the clarification I wanted from Bossing from our brother has to do with the letter he claimed was reading by some pastors to Reverend Gopa's bishop. I didn't understand that. I really wanted to go back to ask him, but then he just hung up to ask him what actually he meant by other pastors writing Pastor Gopa's bishop.
Josiah, and colleagues, I can really tell you, Joe. I just want to jump in there to say that I don't care how we want to cosmeticize the issue. I don't care what kind of definition we want to give it. There is a problem, and until we can be able to identify those realities and try to move towards reconciliation, I don't care how we say it was differences in ideas, and want to romanticize it, is not going to help us. The church, from the onset of the election, and Joe, you mentioned that, Abel also mentioned that, the way in which we saw the tension breeding and people getting out with bruised noses that needed massaging. I mean, there is no way we can say there is not a kind of division in the church. I know fully well that a lot of us, Lutherans, would not like to appreciate that, but it's the reality. And there is a need for us to try to see how we can, and work on that. And the next thing too, I am thinking, Joe, and Witty, this whole issue about, the resolution. Can a resolution supersede the Constitution? And if you're writing a resolution to say that we want to only have the pastors to go through elections, what has the Constitution to say about that? And if the Constitution is ambiguous on that, or the Constitution is silent on that, what is the approach? These are issues that we need to look at, because it may breed tension when legal luminaries start to come in to look at the constitutionality of that entire thing and then argue whether or not that resolution supersedes the Constitution. And I'm not too sure that resolution may do. So I think some of the reform that need to be taken should be that it should be constitutional and not just a mere resolution signed by the pastor. I mean, it's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I want to jump in quickly, Bijo. I just want to jump in quickly to that point, to what Brother Jerry was saying, that in order for us to have a full resolution or reconciliation, we have to go down to the bottom, the root cause of these, all of the problems that people observe. We need to identify these issues, then we can have a full resolution. As like someone may say, like, having on the top is dry and the bottom is wet. Okay, and that's what I see happening here. And quickly, quickly, then I can turn the microphone over to the issue of the letter that was written. I'm still working on things to have a literature, a copy of that letter. The Senate they are talking, the bishop they are talking about is the Senate that I'm from, the Delaware, Maryland Senate. And I understand that the letter was written to Bishop William Gold. A letter was written to him about their colleague. And it is also an affirmation that prior to the convention, the pastors had a convention. And before going to the pastors convention, I was in the convention 2021. I saw the tension in the room. From Reverend Dole. Okay, from Reverend Dole. I saw the tension in the room, and this person voted throughout, like Father Boston Cully said, voted throughout in all of the elections. But from 2021, I saw the tension right in there. Then during the during the pastoral fellowship assembly, his name was omitted. Then later on, they came back and said, I think it's, I want to believe, and don't, I still stand to be corrected, that they probably said that, they say, oh, like last week when Reverend Goba said, they said it was a mistake. I think they're trying to make some correction for reconciliation. That's why they said, oh no, it was a mistake. We took your name from there. But from the beginning, from 2021, what I saw in the convention and his name being omitted from the list, and what transpired during election time, coming to now and say it was a mistake, his name was omitted from the list. I think we need to, like Father Boston Colley said, we need to go down to the bottom of these issues, identify these issues, then we can reconcile. That's the point I want to make.
Well,
I think, Abel, you want to come in? Abel.
Yeah, absolutely, Jerry. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
Jerry.
Abel,
I think this is it's a very serious matter of our church, and we need not to kind of late polish this. Maybe the pastor doesn't want to go deep into this whole process of division in the church. I mean, it's no secret that SCO is divided, and from dealers to dealers, from Bishop Small Harris to Bishop Jensens, and now we're talking about Bishop Palmer. There are fundamental issues, and until these fundamental issues are properly addressed, the church will continue to be divided. For us lay people, we have not had much of a problem, but the problem have existed among the pastors, and this all started. The manner in which the late Bishop Diggs left the church is no secret. It was all about elections, and somebody would say maybe that was the beginning of the entire problem of the SCO. From there, we saw this be split among the pastors. Some of them were like who followed Bishop Diggs, and then other people, Bishop Harris, and then
All right, go ahead, state your name and
Okay.
your question or your comment, please.
My name is Tony George. I'm calling from PA.
Yeah, go ahead. Welcome, Brother George. Go ahead.
Thank you. I've been following the show, and I just thought to interject a few things when it comes to the discussion in points. We all know the history about elections in the LCL and the aftermaths. We all are not strange to them. So today, when other pastors are coming up to state constitutional matters involving their own colleague, sometimes it just proves that beneficiaries of some spoiled system, once the system is turning against them, they become the complainer. So in most cases, that will happen. So right now, it's not time to fix the church. That's why everybody says after elections. But after just 2 weeks, everything is going down the drain. The system about our pastors choosing the bishop is going to be a very good system. But if you saw during those days, there were so many mutual things or standards that most of the churches or the pastors agreed to. Unfortunately, if you see what is going on right now, that might not hold at all. It's always going to be problematic. Some pastors will negate to it, and some pastors will be in favor of it. Our young pastors got so much zeal to lead the church. And every pastor has the right to run for the bishop for the bishop positions in our church. So just by you saying one person should wait as an agreement that the other person wrong, I don't see it to be the way to go.
Okay.
The next thing I want to say is that if they want to really pass this thing, this new suggestion that Pastor Paye is bringing, they must have a referendum where everybody will be present, and then those recommendation will be voted upon so that it become part of the Constitution.
Right.
If they did it outside the Constitution, I think it's going to be problematic and it's going to divide the church more and more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our elections have always been like this for a very, very long time in history. It's chaotic at the end, and then some people want to fall apart. Some people want to become a part of the church. Some people don't want to become a part of the church. And then people talk about reconciliation. When they get there, they don't even reconcile. They even divide the people more and more. So the best thing we can do is to be truthful about reconciliation, like somebody says. I mean, you can't be a problematic person,
right,
the victimizer, that you want to run reconciliation. You won't even be trusted by the other side.
Wow.
So if there must be a reconciliation to happen in the church, the new bishop must, if he can take the lead, must have a committee that will move reconciliation through our churches, starting with the youth, the young people. They are the foot soldiers for the pastors. They need to be part of the reconciliation process, and then going to our deacons, our evangelists, before even coming up to the pastors. So I think that is the way they should approach it. They should go to referendum, and then for reconciliation, there should be a committee set up if the bishop will be so busy looking at the church. I think those are what I have to propound right now. Thank you so much. Thank you for the discussions.
Thank you very, very much, Brother George. And knowing you to be a trauma specialist, one of let's say a reconciliation specialist. I wanted to say a reconciliation specialist in our church, and at some point you were code name Healer too. We're going to be inviting you at some time so that we can have a conversation on this. To discuss the reconciliation in our church.
Okay, no problem. I was actually Healer 1.
Oh, Healer 1. Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to make the correction, but I was constrained because he's on the phone. Really, he was never Healer 2.
It's good hearing.
Was Healer 1.
It's good hearing from you, Uncle George.
Okay, all right. When you were Healer, and now and you were Healer 1, that was your code. Yeah, Healer 1. Yeah. Thank you for the correction. So with your expertise, we're going to be calling on you at some point so that we can discuss some of these issues in our church.
No problem. Josiah, my man, nice to see you, man. You guys are doing well. Reverend Yabazo, thanks a lot for everything.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Our ambassador is there in Sierra Leone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank
The
you.
platform is nice as long as you can maintain it. You'll make it to be transparent and ambient enough. I think people are going to come.
No, absolutely.
I know that it's not possible for people to be 100% neutral, but in a way, you can take care of your neutrality. I mean, your biases, and become as neutral as possible for people to see.
Yeah,
thank you so much. I think it's good.
Thank you. Appreciate you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, George.
Okay.
So, Abel, you can continue about what we do now. You can make this maybe your final, we all can go around to do our closing stuff because time is fast spent. I'm not too sure that
I'm not sure Pastor Paye is coming back.
we may be able to get Pastor Paye back.
Yeah, the technical.
I'm not very sure. I tried calling Pastor Paye. One of his phones is ringing perpetually.
Whether you have to read this, I'm sorry.
Hold on 1 second. We have a comment here from one of the senior brothers in our church. He said, this is from Brother Stephen Covers Jr. He said, I strongly oppose the pastor selecting the bishop. What is the proportion of the clergy to the laity? This will further destroy the heritage of our church. The laity plays a key role because we make the pastors who they are in the church. And I think this is very, very important.
But Witty,
You see that proposition?
Witty, can I put this in context, please?
Proportion.
After
He's talking about like
Witty,
the ratio.
after Witty,
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying his whole comment is a proposition. His whole comment is
yeah.
And which is critical. Which
Yeah,
is
it is critical.
We can unpack that comment, and there will be so much coming out of it.
So much coming out of
yeah,
it.
but,
Yeah,
but gentlemen, can I say something? Yeah, please. I think after the issue was raised on the constitutionality of this identical matter, I saw some of the comments coming up from Father Golayan and some other parishioners and viewers following us. And I think the issue is not that laities are not going to participate in an election, but there will be a selection done amongst the pastor to reduce the number of candidates
Jerry,
or
we have a
contestants.
call.
All right.
Okay. we have the poster himself. This time around, I'm not going to ask for the person name. Okay. We have.
You should do that. You should do that. For our policy, you should do that.
Cora, can we have your name and your comment, please?
Good evening from Liberia. My name is Stephen Kowa calling from Banga City, Bon County. Am I audible enough?
Yes, we are hearing you very well. Go ahead.
Okay, there were 2 points I raised. One had to do with the bishop election.
Yep.
The resolution from last convention. I hope that was read. I think I missed that up. And the second has to do with the proposition for the selection of the bishop by the pastors. I'm saying, what's the proportion of the pastors or the clergy to the laity? In other words, I'm telling you how many persons make up the clergy in the Lutheran Church in Liberia compared to the laity or the parishioners. If you look at that scenario, it puts us in a situation that our selection has to be very critical because we elect leaders. Leaders don't come to us. So in order to know who we want to serve, we must be a partaker, wholly and solely in the decision-making process. So what I suggested first was that to be a bishop, you must have risen to the rank and file of a parish pastor, then being a dean. A dean should be either elected and not appointed. When the deans are appointed by the bishop office, they are directly accountable to the bishop office. But we want to make sure the deans are accountable to the parishioners. So that we know who you are and what you do in the parish. If you can lead a parish or a district successfully, then of course you can run a whole church. If you cannot run a parish or a district, you can't run a national church. So and we make you to be a perfect or reasonable leader. So that's what I said in my comment I wrote, that the proportion of the clergy to the laity is unimaginable. It's unmeasurable. So we have to play a key part in selecting the bishop and not the pastoral fellowship or the pastors. And I stand by that. Over. Thank you very much for allowing the time. I say thank you to the group, the co-hosts. I really appreciate this forum, and it pays a lot to all of us in Lutheran Church in Liberia and those in the diaspora. Thank you very much for holding the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Seymour. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think, Willie, that's exactly the point I was raising. It's good that Brother Kova called. I was trying to say that proposition, because that's a critical proposition that he has just established, and he tried to unpack it. He did extremely well, talking about the proportion, the percentage of the laity and the percentage of the pastors in terms of making a critical decision of that nature for the church, deciding who the head or the spiritual head of the church is very, very important. And that is why I thought Pastor Paye will actually be on. Unfortunately, the technical breakdown is causing us,
But Josiah, can you please see Father Golayan message again to our brother Stephen? Can you highlight that, Wady, so Josiah can see? I think we need to put this thing in context. I don't think it is stopping the laity from participating in an election from what I'm reading from Father Golayan. It's just that since we got too much tension when it comes to voting for so many candidates, the pastors in their resolution, which I still think should be part of the Constitution, in the resolution agree with narrow down on a candidate or narrow down on just two candidates, so that at least the ladies then can be able to vote for the person doing convention. I think that is what you see written there. I don't know if it still has or still going to have some tension, but Reverend Paye is back, so maybe
I'm happy Pastor Paye is back. Yeah, Pastor
Reverend
Paye
Paye
is
is back.
back.
Reverend Paye, we thought the question from the caller took you off.
No,
No,
I had 1,500 megabytes. It ran off. Couple had to reload for me, but I wanted to answer Boston Collie.
I think we should take this one at a time, Pastor, because we have a litany of questions and issues that were being raised in your absence. Boston raised three critical issues. He actually asked three questions in one. The first one has to do with the us versus them. According to him, this theory was birthed by you and Pastor Paye. That's the accusation. He said you guys were the one who propagated that theory, us versus them. His second question is that there is no constitutional establishment to support ITIF versus roster, quote unquote, from your ITIF versus roster pastors as requirement for participating in the election for the bishop's office, because he says the constitutional provision on eligibility criteria does not mention anything of ITIF pastor or roster pastor. Then his last concern was that Goba's bishop in America, I don't even know which bishop in America, was written by a group of pastors, about Goba. Those are the three things that he raised. If the third one, I'm not linking that to you, but just in case you got an idea about that is true. Some pastors wrote his bishop, Goba's bishop. Maybe you can talk about that. Otherwise, we can let it be. But the two critical things.
I think he said Reverend Paye wrote.
Okay. He accused me for writing.
Oh, okay. Those are the three things. Okay.
And that's why I had to come back. I'm just surprised that Buster, who is a counselor, a legal practitioner in Liberia, will base his argument on fiction and not facts. I'm just too sorry, and he knows me well. I've been his pastor, and one day he had not contacted me to ask whether I ever wrote, and let him go back and find out, let him publish the document. If he sees my name on any letter, I don't even know Goba pastor. I don't know Goba pastor. So I've never written any pastor, I've not written a letter to the states to Goba pastor against Goba. I didn't do that. Maybe Goba could produce such a letter. I know he's listening. Then the second thing, and he said, I am not clothed with the authority to reconcile the church because I'm divisive. Again, let Boston, let Collie go back to all of the things that he wrote. I have all the copies, but for me, when there's election, a lot of things happen, so I don't dwell on them. He wrote a lot. He wrote a lot. And I was shocked that he has written those things, actually. And there were conversations he kept. I didn't have time for that. For me, once election has taken place, we come to status quo because every other thing falls behind us. I cannot go back into the garbage can to begin to take things from there. So I want you to know that this administration of the Reverend G. Victor Padmo is not an administration that will divide this church. He pointed out to Paye and I to be people that were going perpetrating hate against Goba. Paye will have it to answer, but I didn't hate Goba. Goba remains my friend. That was the time for election. We had it. And I can't come to say to you what Goba said about me at the election commission. Maybe you didn't know his side. I cannot tell you all that people were caring about me. When election comes, expect those things. So Collie should ground his arm and let's get back and build this church. He speaks like one who is so embittered. And he shouldn't be. He's a legal person. He shouldn't be. Constitutionally, I think let Buster go back and study the Constitution. Maybe he has not read the Constitution very well. If he had read the Constitution and understood it, he wouldn't have been making some of these statements he's making. We talk about the ambiguity of the Lutheran Church Constitution. There are pieces of things there he had not read. Maybe sometimes we go to the Constitution, we just pick up what we want, and we don't look at the other side. I'm not like that. I have read our Constitution over and over and again. I know it has problems. The Reverend Dr. D. Jensen Sayanglo even pointed that out to us, that we have problems with the Constitution. So why don't we pack our extra baggage from the election one side and come and fix the church what it's supposed to be? We need to fix it up. That's what I want to say.
Yep, Pastor Paye. That's a very good response. Just one aspect, you addressed the issue of us versus them. That you guys were not the propagators. You guys were not the one who did that. You and Mackay, as he claimed, you talk about Goba's bishop that you were not involved in writing any letter in that respect. But the last thing that you did not touch on had to do with the quote-unquote active and roster pastor eligibility for the bishop's office, election for the bishop's office. He claims that the Constitution and
I addressed that ever since.
Okay, probably I didn't pick that up.
Okay, so Reverend Paye, thank you. I mean, for taking up your time again. We know the
Jerry, I didn't want to lose my thought. I had a question.
I addressed that. You see, one thing I want Collie to know, Collie is not a pastor. He is a layman. So he doesn't understand ministry. So he speaks like a lawyer, which of course he is. So, there are certain things, context is everything. When you're speaking about something, speak within the context of that. So he is speaking not from the perspective of the BMTEA. When I talk about active and roster pastor, you people just told me there were indication and of pastors that are here that are not on assignment. Somebody mentioned Kwiwalazu. I think that person does not know the Kwiwalazu story. They mentioned John Smo, who is assigned with the Literacy Center in Totota. They don't know that. They go around. If you have a pastor in this church that is not assigned, I don't know that. Roster pastors, that all the pastors that pass through the ordination procedure of this church, both in the diaspora and here, those who are dead and are alive, they've been rostered. When we they call the names of pastors from 1860 up to now, dead and alive, assigned, and those on sick leave. So I don't know what he means. I think
there's a confusion. I think there's a confusion about assignment, Pastor. I think there's a confusion about assignment. What should happen for a pastor to be considered assigned? Should they be assigned to a particular congregation, or should be assigned to a program or a project? What is assignment in the context of
either
the
or
area?
Either or. You could be
or.
assigned.
You
could be assigned to a program,
or to a congregation.
You could be assigned to a project. You could be a seconded to a project or an institution.
Okay.
You are assigned.
And there's a policy. There's a policy to support that in the church to define what assignment is in the LCL.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. And what is that reference? What is that policy reference?
I may not be able to give to you right now.
Okay.
But every minister is assigned by the BMTEA with the approval of the bishop,
Okay.
whatever that assignment is.
That's perfect. That clarification is fine. I think he can also try to do a follow up on that in terms of what policy supports that assignment division and description properly. But here's my question, and I will, before I go back to my colleagues, Pastor, is reconciliation the hallmark of the Reverend Bishop Patmore elect? Is it the hallmark of his leadership? Reconciliation, is it number one on his agenda?
It may not be number one, but it's a part of it.
It's crucial
because every minister has number one, evangelism on their platform, because that's what the church is about. Second, to many of the platform I saw is reconciliation. No matter, look, you can be passing around and being friendly, and no matter what happens, when you take over, you have to have reconciliation as a part of it. There is no election that is free of tension, and that's where reconciliation comes in. It doesn't mean that the people are really divided, but they got different ideologies. Then you need to come together and sit together again and talk about your church.
Yeah.
That's why the Patmore administration, he will appear to this platform. I don't want to talk about it, but I think he has in mind to sit with his colleague, to meet with them, and to talk about the church. Right now, even as we meet in the transitional committee meeting, Reverend Zizek is a part of the transitional committee. Abel Liwali is a part. Abel was on the Goba team. He is a part of the committee. We incorporated people from all over. This church is not about Patmore and me or any other person. It's about the entire Lutherans.
We agree, Pastor. Pastor, we agree 100%. And I don't even want anybody to think about such proposition. But the idea here is this: you talk about ideological difference and not real entrenched differences that people have. That's what you talk about. But here is the point where I tend to differ with you a little bit on that. Ideologically, I don't think there's any major difference in the church ideologically. If you look at the platforms of the candidates in the just ended bishopric election, there is no major ideological difference. They were talking about education, they were talking about agriculture, they were talking about reconciliation. In fact, almost all of them made reconciliation a top priority, which will bring me to my question. They were talking about the transformation of the church, the infrastructure of the church, and making sure that the programs are elevated so that they can seek the well-being of the parishioners, the Lutherans themselves across the country. So there is no major ideological difference when it comes to that. So I don't think our division is pivoted towards that. But I think the questions, the comments, and the issues that have been raised just the short time we've been discussing, I think gives us a semblance of the extent of division that we have in the church, because those are people with issues. And that's why I asked the question: don't you think that Reverend Patmore's leadership makes reconciliation the hallmark? And the question I wanted to ask on the basis of that would be, so what is his strategy? What can you tell Lutherans? Because a lot of people watching, a lot of people following the show here today, it could be an opportunity for you to begin to discuss the way you guys are going to approach reconciliation, because I know you are our next leaders. You have a major role to play in the leadership. So what are you guys having in store in terms of your approach to reconciliation? Because the issues raised your cause for that. And that's why I'm asking, Pastor.
Can you keep that question for the bishop elect, since he will be appearing on this platform?
Absolutely.
When the cow is present, the goat cannot dance in this place.
That's a good one. That's a good one. The bishop should make his own policy statement.
That's
And
right. That's right.
Pastor
That's
Paye
right.
must not implicate the bishop. The message
No,
is well understood. the message is well understood. Pastor Paye must not implicate the bishop.
Yeah.
Wait,
Right.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah.
Wait.
Ambassador.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Wait, I want you to please highlight Anthony Boston stuff again. I want you to please highlight that because I want to read it. It's very important. You know, as an Anthony, and he sticks to the Constitution, which I'm enjoying. And Reverend Paye, I know for the word that he's a laity. Boston College is a laity, but he's a lawyer. And we need these kind of people in our church to guide the leadership as it relates to Constitution, the constitutionality and the provisions therein. Now,
Jerry, I know why you want to read. Jerry, I know why you want to read. It's because of the last 3 words. Void,
yes. Exactly. Exactly. Can Pastor give us the constitutional provision that talks about active and roster? Can you give that provision? Because he indicating that the BMTEA is not the constitution of the church. Any policy, and Joe, you got it right. Any policy, and I repeat, any policy that runs contrary to the Constitution should be considered void ab initio, which means void from the very beginning.
Yes.
So the BMTEA is
having
no legal effect
from the beginning.
From the beginning.
You know,
so can you speak to this?
You know what? Let me encourage my learned counselor that he and I can meet here on another time to argue the Constitution and the policy. Right now, I didn't come prepared for that. So my Lutheran connection can allow him. Then I will bring one of the framers of the Constitution, which is the Reverend J. Louis Mackay, and myself, plus him. And let's IQ this whole thing he put in here. I will be prepared for that. I can assure you, I'm not running away from it. All the constitutional.
Where do please take note?
I am taking note, and I want to state here publicly that the Reverend, even though he's been shying away a little bit, but since our last interaction, since he considered coming, he really have been forth in communicating with us. So and from what he just put forth, I can rely on his comment this evening that he will be able to get the Reverend J. Louis Mackay alone, and I will reach out to Father Boston Cully, and we will try as much as possible. My Lutheran connection will try to bring you both here. We'll look at our schedule and try to bring you in June. I think it's very healthy, especially for the reconciliation and everything that we're talking about, in our church. So it's very, very important. We'll look at our schedule and we'll try to bring you back in June.
I can tell you that Pastor Paye has opened a floodgate. Pastor Paye coming here is heroic. It's heroic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and he has caused the attraction. We appreciate it, Pastor Paye. I must say that before the show ends.
Oh no, sure, yeah.
You did extremely well to appear on the show tonight, because some of the critical issues, you did not shy away from them. You are facing them. You are discussing them. We really appreciate it, Pastor Paye. And if even we don't have everybody on, you are one of our senior pastors in the church. Pastor Paye, I must say this before the show ends. When I was in St. Peter's, let me use the word. I feel funny, uncomfortable, but I was nobody in a sense. But your leadership in St. Peter's exposed me in a way that I took up an important leadership in the church, or on the church parish council.
Amen.
I was secretary. It was during your term, and you appointed me, of all persons, you appointed me to chair the Golden Jubilee celebration of St. Peter's. One of the most successful projects that we undertook. I was chairman to put the 6 split units in St. Peter's. We bought the 45 kVA generator Perkins and installed it. I was chairman of that committee. And Pastor Paye, I can say that you have a history of contributing positively to the church. However, when parishioners have issues, and when there are issues in our church, we rely on people like you to be able to sharpen the contradictions, to be able to provide information that will help us grow more in the church. So when parishioners feel that the information is not forthcoming, Pastor, you definitely have to come. And that is why you will have to come back on the show with Busson and other people so that we can have a frank and positive conversation about our church. This is what the Lutheran Connection is about. And I'm sure you will carry the message. You will tell your friends, this is about the growth of the church. We have frank conversation here. We don't have friends on the show. Anybody you come here, we have the issues to focus on and discuss. After that, we have the conversation as usual. Jerry, sorry, I'm talking too much. Coming to leave your, you know, sorry.
Happy belated birthday again. Welcome.
It's not my fault. Maybe it's my birthday spirit.
You know, I know. Joe is energized. I love the energy of Joe tonight. It's overwhelmed.
Reverend Paye, we want to say thank you. You can just give, because we just get less than 3 minutes to go, you can give your final closing statement, and after that, we ask the colleagues on set to just give the closing statement, then we can call it a day. So, Reverend Paye, over to you.
Well, let me thank all of you guys. You know, Abel is my boy, and he knows that. He supported me a lot when I was at LTI, and I admire his work. But I want to thank you people for being brave to face me.
Yes.
and I'm saying this to say that there are a lot we're supposed to talk. Actually, to be frank with you, there are a lot we're supposed to talk. I can assure you that the administration of the Right Reverend G. Victor Padmore will be open. It will be open to criticism and to helping. We should not want to criticize, but we should stand up to help the system to be better. And we rely on you people. We rely on the Lutheran connections and everybody. We shy away during the elections because we thought that we didn't want to come and discuss policy. You know, election is very sensitive. So if you wanted to be on the right side, don't play with Lutheran connection. So we just decided not to be a part of the after the election.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Thank you so much.
This is so interesting.
No, you see, the connection is so interesting tonight. The fun about it and everything just going smoothly. Right? We want to say thank you. So, Amen, your final statement, sir.
Yeah, on a very serious note, I'm very thankful tonight for Pastor Paye. You know, Reverend Paye is one of the most senior, the most senior pastors of the church. He understands the dynamics and the historicity of the LCL. Trust me, he can relate that very well. And I guess at this point in history, at this point of our church, the new leadership will heavily depend also on the wisdom of Reverend Paye to get most of these issues that we're talking about, especially the one that got to do with reconciliation of the church. And I believe he would be in the driving seat. And he's one person who is not afraid to speak out when it comes to issues. I've been following him for a very long time. And we really hope that this time around we have a better result so that the SUL can become great again. So Pastor Paye, we say thank you ever so much for coming, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so Weddy?
Yeah, Reverend Paye, I also want to join the rest of the team here to say thank you very much for accepting our invitation to come here. And before I just go through my 1 minute quickly, I want to say that you know, you are one of the senior members in our church that we've invited, and you know, that's why we had the elections activities, but you were so like warmly receptive in agreeing to come. And this is one of the things that when Brother Josiah said that is what the Maluchan connection is about. We're here also to promote our church. Okay, and some of the criticism will help to build us, and shape us in the right direction. Not to actually criticize those other people that we've invited and they've actually been shying away, but I just want to send this out as an open invitation. There are a lot of things that our church is doing out there, but if we don't talk about it, people won't know. Okay, people won't know. Like for example, um, even the issue of writing letter, Reverend Paye was in the, his name was in the forefront. But now he had come out to say, I did not write any letter. I don't know about any letter. So these are some of the things that we need to do. What's happening at LTI? What's happening at Current Hospital in Zozo? What's happening at the Palipo project in the southeast? Okay, so please, Reverend Paye, I mean, I can just thank you so much enough, and I know you're gonna be a regular guest to our platform. I just want to say thank you so much, and I will say this clearly here that if you see Reverend Paye emphasizing that our bishop elect is gonna be here, he has given us that assurance, the team Maluchan Connection, that this incoming administration is going to be open to the members of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, those in and out of Liberia. You can be anywhere, you can be in Germany or Asia or anywhere in America, but according to them, they are going to be accountable. So they're going to be accountable to us, and they are going to be open to us for conversation so that our people can have access to them. And I think it's fair enough if they should do that, and our church will move in the right direction. Again, I want to say thank
Amen.
you very much for accepting our invitation. And very, very, very soon in June, because next week is June.
Willie, that's a
Not this
strange
week.
1 minute. Willie, that's a
Yeah,
strange
that's a
one
strange
minute.
1 minute, I know.
Yeah.
But pretty much in June, in June, we're gonna be having you. And I just want to close with my announcement. Next Sunday, the Association of Liberian Lutherans in America, Aliyah, Aliyah is working along with the LCL on this signature university project. Um,
Yes.
so Aliyah right now is carrying on a fundraiser, and that fundraiser is not only for Liberia, it's not only for the diaspora, it's also for Liberia. They are doing a raffle. So the chairperson of the LUL task force, Madam Madia Reed Carpet and her team from Aliyah, they will be here next Sunday. They will be here to discuss. They have a lot of things in store. They're going to be coming here to discuss the LUL project, where Aliyah is, and their relationship with the LCL regarding the project. So Madam Madia Reed Carpet is going to be here, and they will be discussing the entire raffle. I have information on it, but I'm not going to share it right now because I want you to come tune in next Sunday, and how you can be a part, how you can participate in the raffle from Liberia as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Willie. Joe, you still won't go 1 minute?
Yeah, I would do mine, and I would do mine in a strange way. Um, Pastor Paye, I want you to be on the records. Is the bishop going to come? Are you going to bring the bishop on the show?
I can assure you that Bishop will come. What I will be with him, I don't know. And
Good.
I know that he might appear with somebody, but I don't know that person. It may not be me. But there are a lot of capable pastors, so he will definitely come when that time comes. I can assure you he will come.
Okay.
The reason why he has not come is that he does not want to come and say anything. Then after the consecration, he says he go to say another thing. Right. So he will come very prepared, and he will just speak to the Lutheran connection.
Yeah. He has that understanding that all of you people had prior to the election, that don't come to the Lutheran connection and say anything that you go back on. So It's quite understandable, and we'll look forward to receiving our Lord Bishop after his consecration. Thank you for making that commitment. We hold you to that. I know I trust you a lot, but we hold you to that. Meaning the bishop,
Yeah.
by all accounts, is going to appear on my Lutheran Connections show. Pastor, we can't thank you much for coming. Like I said from the beginning, it's a new beginning. The fact that you accepted to come here, it has been a challenge. We are aware, even if you had not said it, we knew it because some of your colleagues said it in other places. We heard it, but it's our responsibility to do our best to have all of you come here, the policy people, to be able to talk about the things you do. Because the more you talk about the things you do, the way you do them, for whom you do them, the church get to understand exactly the direction we are taking as an institution. So we're happy to have you today, and I'm so happy with my illustrious colleagues, very knowledgeable. I appreciate the conversation, the style, and everything, the way we intersperse it with the fun and everything. Good to have those fun memories. I really appreciate it, Pastor. And you take care and keep safe.
Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, colleagues, we want to say thank you very much. And we also want to again say thank you, Reverend Thomas Paye, for the invite and considering our invite. To our viewers, we want to say thank you very much for following us and making your comments. And all of our callers, we want to say thank you very much for the calls. We appreciate you a lot. It's because of you that we are here. And this is the Lutheran Connection. And we will be back next Sunday. Bye-bye.